Like the university website is going to be your best friend. Like, also student room is also your best friend, because maybe you don't go on student room all the time, but yeah, like they don't expect you to be a pharmacist when they interview you. So that is also something that you don't want to be like, don't stress yourself out for it, because yeah, you can always link that back to pharmacy in some way, like shape or form. If you practice it and you really like look into the certain cities, there's always a link that you can make.
And it goes a little something like
Welcome to my Real Lifestyle and Academia channel. My name is Agape. Like the love. If you're new here, then hi, welcome. This is a safe space, but if you're not, welcome back. And thank you so much for clicking on one of my videos once again. That means a lot. As you guys can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about pharmacy interviews and like pharmacy prep for interviews. If you're in year 13 now, then your UCAS submission deadline, I think, was the 26th of is the 26th of January, and that means interviews are going to start coming soon. And I thought that the best way to start off my channel in talking about like academia and talk about pharmacy and like uni prep and stuff is to speak about interviews, because I don't think there are a lot of resources in terms of YouTube videos that speak about pharmacy interviews. And I know for myself, like, it would have definitely helped knowing that there was somebody speaking about them. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. Been saying that like I wanted to do like review lifestyle and academia, and so the academia side I've just been waiting, like, when am I going to start, and now I finally am. But if you're also new and you're wondering, Agape, why are there like a whole bunch of like albums in the background, that's because I make review videos as well, and so that's my like perpetual background state, but I like it, just albums that I like listening to. And so yeah, I hope that clears the confusion. And so yeah guys, let's start. So pharmacy interviews, this is an interesting one because not all universities do interviews. Some universities might just accept you without having an interview done. However, other universities do, and even with COVID, interviews still happen, but they just happen online, and they happen like on Zoom or on Teams or things like that. But the interviews will go on for the universities that do have interviews. But the way that I wanted to organize this video is in terms of like different types of interviews, right? But before that, I just wanted to name some points and some key things that I think everybody should include when they're busy prepping for an interview, and how to prep for a pharmacy interview to the best of your ability, and knowing that you're going to hit all the points and things that people want you to be talking about and want you to be engaging with. I'm going to present you guys with 3 questions, and this I want it to sort of be like the basis of how you're going to prep regardless of the interview that you're having, just so that you're better equipped with going into the interview, right? So the first question might seem very simple, or might seem very obvious, but that first question is, why pharmacy? Like, why are you picking pharmacy? And I think that's always one of the first questions that they ask you. So get familiar with answering it, and making sure that you answer, that you like your answer. That's going to be a question that all the universities that do Zoom calls, they might ask. Most likely they'll definitely ask, why did you pick pharmacy at this university? So why, tell me why you want to do pharmacy, what about pharmacy was engaging to you, and made you want to pick this as a career. So that's the main question that you always answer in your personal statement, and don't feel shy to take things from your personal statement and incorporate that in your interview and like while you're doing prep. So for example, if it was because you like chemistry and you like the chiral carbon topic in chemistry, and knowing about how knowing about drug manufacturing, or knowing the implications of certain drugs on the body, and being able to talk about that and mechanisms, and something that you found interesting. Maybe it was the biology side of pharmacy, and knowing how we deal with sort of like all over the body. We deal not specific to a certain part, but it's very much like full on, and knowing how different drugs interact with each other in the body, or how they interact with food in the body, and how we can improve the quality of our lives with the drugs that we take, for example. Or it might be that you want to do pharmacy because you did a placement and you really liked how it was not only chemistry based and biology based, but there was also maths to it, but then there was also patient interaction, and you really got to build that sense of like working with the community and being involved. Or it might be, why else would you want to do pharmacy? Might be because you're interested in the industrial side of pharmacy and knowing about pharmacodynamics and knowing about like the ways in which drugs are made and how they formed and stuff like that. So like that question, why you want to do pharmacy, is always going to be one that they ask. So that's one that you always want to make sure that you can actually give a nice response to, one that shows that you've looked at also other things. So sometimes they might not just say why pharmacy, but they might say, why did you pick to do pharmacy and not medicine? Why did you pick to do pharmacy and not nursing? Why did you pick to do pharmacy and not pharmacology, for example? And so even within your pharmacy, like the answer of why pharmacy, maybe specify exactly why you want to do pharmacy. Maybe you thought it was a better work-life balance than medicine. Maybe you thought that you have more, if you become an independent prescriber as a pharmacist, you can have a little bit more control, and I don't know, is that a good thing to say? I don't know. You can be more hands-on with the job, and that's something that's interesting to you. So answering the question of why you want to become a pharmacist is not just you almost have to speak about pharmacy in a way in which shows that you've considered other things and why pharmacy is the best one, is the one that's best suited for you. So it seems like a very simple question, but there's a lot of depth and there's a lot of layers to that you want to make sure that you can answer comfortably. If somebody asks you the question, you'll know, like, I can explain why I want to become a pharmacist. And the really cool thing about interviews and stuff is that they don't expect you to be a pharmacist when they interview you. So like, you can always talk about how there's always going to be growth and you're always going to learn more things, but don't be afraid to like stumble or like they don't expect you to be a pharmacist when they interview you. So that is also something that you don't want to be like, don't stress yourself out for it, because I don't know how to conclude that point, but don't stress yourself out too much. This is just you getting there, like you just want to be in the doorway, right? The second question that I want you to prepare is why the university? And when I say the university, I mean why the city? Why do you want to study in London? Why do you want to study in East Anglia? Why do you want to study in Manchester? Why do you want to study in Portsmouth? Why do you want to study in Nottingham, in the Midlands, in Wales, in Glasgow? Why that area that you want to study in? I've gotten that question a few times, and because I prepared myself in a certain way for every interview that I did, I also like googled like nice things to do in the city, or just like nice things to do in the area, or to just get a general sense of the area. So when I applied to East Anglia, I knew that university, there was a lot of like bodies of water, and so people went on like boat rides, and people went and it was very picturesque. So I mentioned that in my interview, and I said that like I really like the city because it's the university, but specifically with the city because it's like sort of away from where everything is. It's a very picturesque area, it's really calm, it's really nice. Or in contrast to that, for example, if you want to study in London and you like the busy life, you like the feeling that the world is moving and everything is going quick, and then you're going with it, and it gives you the sense of rush that like you're living in, that you're studying, but it almost prepares you for the real world, because that's how it's gonna be, and things go fast paced and it's gonna be under pressure, and you like the city life. Or it might be Manchester because it's really diverse, and I also mentioned that in my Manchester interview, and I really like the city because it's such a diverse city, similarly to the city that I grew up in, which was Leicester. And so I like that because when you work with pharmacists, you're going to work, when you're a pharmacist, you're going to be interacting with so many different patients, and it's going to teach you to have like a diverse understanding of different people, and it allows you to have empathy and stuff like that. So even when you talk about the city, why you like the city, you can always refer that to why pharmacy, why, like, you can always link that back to pharmacy in some way, like shape or form. If you practice it and you really like look into the certain cities, there's always a link that you can make, whether you like the quiet life before university, whether you like the quiet life before you have to step into the work field, or whether you like that like nice transition, the transition that you'll have if you're in a busy city. There's always a way that you can like connect it to pharmacy, and that it can show that we've really thought this through. This isn't just a university that you've added in for adding in. You've really thought this through, and like you like this place. Maybe it's close to the beach, maybe it's close to family, maybe something like that. Maybe it's somewhere totally that you've never been before, and you want to challenge yourself, not only within your degree but also stepping out of your comfort zone. There's so many different things that you can say, but yeah, if you Google just like things to do in this place, or what's nice about this place, and just jot those things down before your interview, just so that you can have something to prep yourself with. My third question is actually like my most favorite one, right? Is because we combine the two, right? We talk about why you want to do pharmacy at that specific university, right? And this is also where your prep comes in, because this requires you to look on the pharmacy page of that university and see what they offer, right? Because it not only shows that you've done your research and that you've engaged with the work that they have already, this can also allow you to start asking questions, and it just shows that you're even more interested in, right? So for example, I'll give Manchester as a really nice example. I don't know if it's changed on their website, but in third year you go on like an industry placement thing, and I had jotted that down, and the interview asked me why I wanted to do pharmacy at Manchester, right? And I said that I really like that you get your work experience with industry, because at other universities you sort of have to plan that for yourself, and I like that Manchester was able to do it in conjunction with a company, so it allowed pharmacy students to not have to sort the industry placements out in the summer by themselves, which can be really difficult. The university allowed them to do that. Like, the university allowed that to be possible without them having to go to extreme lengths, because some people might live too far from the uni and stuff like that. And I really thought that was so cool. Right, an answer like that only took me like 2 minutes. If you look on the university page and you see the things that they do, it takes you like 2 minutes to see that, right? But then it shows that the interview, it tells the interviewer that you not only know that you want to do pharmacy, know that you like the city, but also shows that you're engaged already within the university and the way things go. And I can bet that there's some students there that are first year, second year, who aren't engaged like that, right? So it shows that you took this extra step, this extra mile, because you really care about this degree. One second. Right, that was just one example, but there's so many different examples why like different unis will have. And the thing is, it could be in their fine print. It could be like, oh, we have a lot of great facilities. It doesn't have to be something specific to like very, very niched. It can be a little bit general as well, but like you'll find out from the sense of their university website. Like, the university website is going to be your best friend, like, because it shows you all the things that you need. Like, they want you to basically tell them why they're great, and that website says it all, right? So for example, if you're applying to a Russell Group university and you know that they're known for having high tech and really cool like resources and stuff like that, you can mention that, and you can say that like it's really nice to be working with innovative technology and stuff like that. And maybe there's like a new building that was created, and that might be on their website as well, and you mention that. That's already like you going above and beyond what you need to do. So those were my 3 main questions that before you go into an interview, have jotted down. Like, I recommend everybody getting like a notebook. It doesn't have to be this big though. It can even be like a small notebook that I had when I was applying for university, and then I had on each page, so for example, I would have on this page, it would be like Manchester, and the next page Kings, then the next page Portsmouth, UCL, Glasgow, Cardiff, write it down, and then write down why you like the city, and also an interesting or a couple interesting facts about the course specifically to that university, because then it shows that you want to go there, right? And so have that with you. It's okay if you have things with you and jotting down, I mean looking down, and just like as a reminder, because that's what I had. I familiarized myself with the things beforehand, but just having it down, just to look down a little bit, you'll be fine. Just as a sort of prompt, right? Those are like the main 3 questions that if you have that down, things will be fine, and then things get a little bit more interesting. Okay, so now I'm gonna split it up between 2 different scenarios, right? So some universities, this happened with UCL, but I don't know if other universities are like this, right, where they make you do like an essay. So UCL, you do like, for example, I first wanted to apply for medicine, but then I realized in the summer of year 12 that I didn't want to do that anymore, but luckily I was starting to prep for UCAT. Yeah, UCAT. The way I forgot what it was, and it gave me like a headache. I was starting to prepare for UCAT, right? And the section of like situational judgment, right? And UCL, they do a section in their pharmacy interviews where they give you questions and you have to rate it in terms of what would you scenario, and you rate it in terms of like the order of most, what's the word? Most applicable, that's the word. So they'll give you a scenario. They'll be like a 14-year-old girl is coming to you, and because she has a problem with this and this, maybe there's something about drug use, maybe there's something about this and this, and then they'll give you a few different options, and then you have to rank those options by level of appropriateness. And so if you did UCAT, then you would have like an upper hand because you're familiar with that and like you're familiar with the process. But if you didn't apply for UCAT and you don't know, you aren't familiar with that, it's fine, because you can always watch videos on people who did UCAT on like situational judgment questions, and you can just watch those videos on YouTube to sort of like give you an idea of what you have to do. Don't prep for UCAT if you're not going to do it, but like you can always find videos on YouTube to sort of give you like a general like census of things, right? Because there isn't necessarily a right and wrong answer, but they're almost like a rated, right? So that's what you do at UCL. But then there's also like a math section, and then you have to like answer math questions, but it's very much like GCSEs and maybe year 12 of like GCSEs in year 12 maths and chemistry. I think it's the GCSE, it's very much giving GCSE, and it's also time based, right? And then at the end of that, I think this is so specific to UCL though, but then at the end of that they give you an essay that's based on ethics, and they'll give you a scenario and they'll talk about it. I can't remember what my one was. I think it had something to do with, oh no, my question was about drug usage, and if people who, and like the ethics about people who have self-inflicted injuries because of drug abuse, like should they be able to get free healthcare with the NHS and stuff like that. So you talk about the ethics of that, you weigh each side and stuff like that. Again, if you need help with ethics in terms of like medical ethics, like benevolence, non-maleficence, things such as like confidentiality and stuff like that, you can always watch YouTube videos to help prep you, and just to give you like a general sense of things so that you're using keywords in your essay. So yeah, I think it helped me it helped me because I was in like a medical society already, so I had been having these conversations with my friends on a Wednesday because that's just what we did. And so when I saw the essay question, I was like, this is fine, I can do this. And I got into the uni based on like the interviews and stuff like that. So that was something that was a bit of a hurdle because I didn't see coming, but because I had prepped thoroughly, not specifically to that question, but because I had prepped, it wasn't this giant like obstacle, which was lovely. Also, student room is also your best friend because you go in student room, and maybe don't go on student room all the time, but go on student room and there'll be students who have probably done the UCL interview before you, and they can give you like a general idea of how they found things, so that could help you as well. And then the in-person interviews, not the in-person, I mean the Zoom interviews. So the UCL one was more like the electronic, like you do that by yourself, there isn't a person there. I think because they accept a lot of like international students and stuff on the course, so it would probably be too much of a hassle. I just said probably. It will probably be too much of a hassle to do the Zoom ones for all the students. I know they have students from all over, so that's what they do. But then the in-person, not the in-person ones, but then the Zoom ones, those are when they can ask you questions on like your biology or your chemistry thing. Like I remember they asked me about bonding, right? The Zoom interviews, but it's like bonding, energetics, or like atomic structure. What else would they ask you? Those are like the main ones. They like to ask about bonding. That's something that they genuinely like to ask. I think like two different unis will talk about like, okay, speak to me about ionic bonding, but because you've done this, like you should know this at the back of like your head. But if not, just read over. So Manchester will ask you, Portsmouth will ask you, and Nottingham make you do like a maths test or something. But they ask as well, so just familiarize yourself with like some key concepts in first year, year 12 chemistry. You'll be fine. The same goes with biology. So biology is a lot of the stuff that we did before, so they might ask you about protein synthesis, or they might ask you about describe it would never. One second, my book is right here again. They always ask you year 12 stuff though. It's not the year 13, because obviously you're doing the interview when you're in year 13, but you haven't covered all of the year 13 stuff. So with biology and my CGP guide, they'll ask you about like biological molecules or DNA, and I'm a person who does not like, I can like waffle through DNA. It isn't one of my like favorite topics ever. But like the same university that I'm at now, they asked me about like describe protein synthesis, describe DNA replication, blah blah blah. So familiarize yourself with that. I think those are the two main ones that they ask. Even cell membranes, you know, they could ask you about diffusion or osmosis or stuff like that. I don't think I haven't come across them asking about the immune system. No. If they do, that would be kind of peak. But I would say get your CGP guides from your 12 CGPs for your chemistry and your biology, and then just go over it. Just like read through it, almost like you're studying, but just like read through it and be like, okay, I know if I can waffle through this. Or if you're nervous, it's fine. I wouldn't say put it in front of you, because I think that would be a bit bait, like you looking for the pages. That would be kind of bait. But like you can also know a general sense of things. I remember one of my interviews asking me something, and I thought I knew it, but then I got it confused with something else, and then I was like, oh no, I think I was a bit confused. And he was like, no, it's okay, I can see that you're on the same like wave pattern, so that's fine. Don't stress yourself out too much. It will generally be okay. Okay, but yeah, I think you'll also know how your interview is going by like the atmosphere. So this isn't about the like prep necessarily, but also just having a positive attitude going into it, being a little bit energetic, asking questions, maybe about the course. So when they ask, oh, do you have any questions at the end, maybe talk about the final year project and how that goes about, like your dissertation in your 4th year, or speak about how things are changing slightly, and maybe you could be an independent prescriber, or maybe you couldn't. So speak about that, and then ask about placements, or ask about how the first year course is broken down in terms of weight, or ask about waiting. Does first year count? Is for some universities first year counts a small bit, for others it's second, third and fourth years, like 20, 30, 40, 50%. Or you can ask about, what else is there to ask about? Diversity within the course, like male to female ratio. What else can you ask about? I don't know, there's so many things that you can ask about, or you can be more in depth about like the university and how people find like the work-life balance, and how people find if they have time for other curricular activities, or you can ask about their pharmacy society, stuff like that. And I think that's always just towards the end. If they're like, oh, do you have more questions, you ask about that. You also sort of put the interview on their toes, because sometimes they might not know, and they'll be like, I'll get back to you, or they will know and they can tell you an answer right on the spot. But then that's also another thing for you to be like, and for them to be like, she's really engaged in this, and then you'll get your interview. And I'm saying this as someone who got accepted to all the universities based on my interviews, because I know one thing about me: I can do a good interview, and I can show you that I'm engaged and that I want to be there, and that I'm interested, and that this is fun, and that this is important to me, and that I want to be here. Like, interviews want to see that you want to be here, that you're engaged, that you want to go to that you want to go to their university. And as long as you can show that, then I think like you're halfway there, like showing that you're interested. So yeah guys, that was a lot that I said, but if you still have specific questions and I didn't answer that, then definitely send me a message, or I say send me a message, just jot that down in the comments, because somebody else might have a similar question to you, and I will definitely reply to that. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope it helped. I made this because a lot of people were DMing me on my pharmacy account, let me plug that, and they were asking me about interview prep, and I'm like, you know what, let me just make a video on this so I don't have to send like 5 people different messages, because I didn't want to copy and paste. I would have written out the message every time, or send out voice notes and stuff. But I figured, you know what, why not speak about this in a video setting, and yeah, maybe help you. And for all of the people that are applying now, I'm in my first year, so for all the people that have just sent off your application and you're waiting for your interviews and waiting to get those messages about when you're gonna get your interviews, I'm wishing you guys all the best of luck. It might go the way that you want to, or it might not, but in the end you get to do your degree, and it's so fulfilling. Like, I'm genuinely enjoying my course so much, even though this is the amount of work that I have to do for the week. Oh, you can't see it because the lighting is bad, but like, wait, can you see it? Can you see it? Yep, now you can see it. So even though this is the amount of work I have to do for the week, it's so fun, and I'm genuinely having the best time, and I really like the city that I'm in. And so yeah guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. I'll be trying my best to get 2 videos out pharmacy related, whether it be study with me, whether it be showing you guys how like a normal day in the life is. I did something similar to that. I did a day in the life as a pharmacy student, and I'll link that video. But yeah, I want to have more like study uni type of content. So yeah, I'm going to be finished. I'm going to stop speaking now, because I've spoken for a lot of time and I'm really thirsty. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.